One of the most underrated needs for the Detroit Lions this offseason is maintaining their offensive line, a position that has defined their offensive philosophy over the last 4 seasons, and an offensive line group that is really aging out of the NFL, right? Kevin Zeitler is gone from a season ago. Graham Glasgow was 33. Taylor Decker's getting older, and Frank Ragnow may be on the verge of retiring any offseason at this point. The Lions' offensive line has been their offensive identity. With great pass protection and exceptional run blocking, they are the engine that makes this Lions offense move forward. And without proper maintenance, that offensive line could crumble within just a few seasons. So, maintaining that offensive line, rejuvenating it with young, talented prospects to take up the mantles left behind is imperative for the Lions offseason and their future. And if they're going to do that, Tyler Booker from Alabama is by far their best option in the first round. The 6'5", 325-pound guard from Alabama played 3 seasons with the Crimson Tide, where he totaled 972 run blocking snaps, 1,035 pass blocking snaps, while allowing just 2 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, 21 hurries, and playing a number of different positions, including left tackle, where he played 77 snaps and started a single game in his junior season, left guard, where he played 1,763 snaps at a majority of his career, and even subbed in at times for the right guard position with 167 snaps there. He is a versatile piece that can move anywhere across the offensive line, but luckily for the Detroit Lions, he can slot right in, plug and play right at the left guard position, and like nothing even happened. On top of having a great collegiate career, he was also named for a number of accolades throughout his 3 seasons, including being named a freshman All-SEC player in 2022, being named a second-team All-SEC offensive lineman in 2023, and being a first-team All-SEC offensive lineman, along with a second-team All-American and a team captain for the Crimson Tide in 2024. He is a leader. He's big. He's strong. He's versatile. He's played a lot of snaps of SEC football, and he's still pretty young and doesn't have any injury concerns. The fact that Tyler Booker may fall to the Detroit Lions at 28 is a blessing in and of itself, but the Detroit Lions have a legitimate shot to get this player. In his junior season, Tyler Booker played really, really well. Played 77 snaps at left tackle and 700 snaps at left guard. He allowed just 7 hurries, 3 quarterback hits, and 0 sacks on his campaign in what was arguably the best season of his collegiate career. Now, Tyler Booker, of course, being a potential first-round pick, has a number of strengths for this offense and has a number of things that he's going to bring to the offensive line that decides to elect him. The strengths include just being big, having great arm length, a good understanding of leverage and angles. He's a strong pass protector. He works to the second level and just all around has a great mentality when it comes to being an offensive lineman. The old passage and the old saying that pass protection isn't passive, he lives by that saying. And the same thing goes for run blocking, right? Getting to that second level is so incredibly important, and Tyler Booker does it really well. Now, he may not be the best athlete overall. He may not be the most athletic, twitchy, or quick player to get there, but he's going to get there. He's going to work his way to the second level, and he's going to be in the way of the defensive lineman and the linebacker. Some of the weaknesses, of course, his extremely poor RAS score, right? His raw athleticism score is one of the worst we've ever seen at the position. He does have below average quickness and foot speed, which kind of pair back to his athleticism, but for a number of positions, and especially on the offensive line, athleticism scores really don't matter that much, right? They really aren't the biggest concerning factor when it comes to grading offensive linemen, because there have been a ton of offensive linemen over the years to have really poor RAS scores, really be graded out as poor athletes, but look fantastic on the field and go on to have Pro Bowl, All Pro, and even Hall of Fame careers over the course of a decade and a half. Now, just how bad was Tyler Booker's RAS score? Well, it was pretty bad. With a 3.61 overall RAS score, he graded out with good size, of course, being 6'5", 325 pounds, but graded out with poor explosiveness, poor speed, and just okay agility. He put up just 21 reps on the bench press, which for a player of his size is really underwhelming. He ran a 5.3840-yard dash and had a broad jump of just 7 foot 10 inches, which is one of the worst broad jumps of any offensive lineman in the history of the event. Now, you may be asking, well, what is the 40 time? What does the broad jump really have to do with being an offensive lineman? And I would say you're probably right. The 40-yard dash, especially, really isn't a big concern. I think the broad jump tests your explosiveness, which could be a little bit of an issue. And of course, the bench press is just your overall strength. But none of those athletic deficiencies, none of those drawbacks really seem to show up a ton on Tyler Booker's tape. He still looked like a very strong offensive lineman. He moved like a very good, nimble offensive lineman. And even though he's not the biggest or the fastest or the quickest or the, prettiest feet movement, he is a good player. He wouldn't be an NFL prospect. He wouldn't be a first round NFL prospect if he wasn't a good football player. And there are a number of players throughout the years that have really poor RAS scores, are really just graded as poor athletes, but turn into really, really good players. Some of those guys include Rob Havenstein, who started 116 games in the NFL, Rodney Hudson, a 3-time Pro Bowler and 1-time All-Pro, graded out with a lesser and worse RAS score than Tyler Booker. And of course, Travis Frederick, a longtime starting center for the Dallas Cowboys, at one point looked at as one of the best centers in the NFL throughout his time, also had a lesser RAS score than Tyler Booker. Each and every one of these players was taken later in the draft than they probably should have, because the NFL is infatuated with freak athletes. If you don't run a 4.3, or you don't bench 100 bench press reps, or you don't jump farther than anybody else in history, nobody seems to care, right? If you're a bad athlete, if you grade below average, that's going to hurt your draft stock probably more than anything not called an injury. Unfortunately, athletic testing hurts draft stocks every single year. And Tyler Booker is the latest victim of that mindset and of that predicament, right? He is the next player to lose millions of dollars because he didn't run fast enough, because he didn't bench press enough, because he didn't, jump far enough. And that's not a new thing in the NFL. But the most important thing when grading talent is watching them play games, watching what they do on the field, watching what they accomplish in their time in college. And when it comes to Tyler Booker, that was a lot. That was being an All-American. That was being an All-SEC offensive lineman for 3 consecutive years. That was being a team player. That was being a team captain. That was moving around the offensive line to where his team needed him to be, because that gave them the best opportunity to win. He very well could have said, I am not playing left tackle. I am not playing right guard. Those are positions I don't know, and positions that'll make me look worse. And yet, he didn't do that. He stood tall. He stood proud. He represented the Crimson Tide at all 3 of those positions and did a really good job at each and every one of them. Now, you're not drafting Tyler Booker to be a left tackle. You're not drafting him to be a right guard, but knowing he has that versatility is a really encouraging plus on his draft portfolio. And if the Lions were to he would essentially replace Graham Glasgow. Mahogany fits right in at the right guard position where he was for the playoffs. And all of a sudden, you have an aging but still very good Taylor Decker, a rookie Tyler Booker who's on a rookie deal for 5 seasons, Frank Ragnow, who is one of the best, if not the best centers in the NFL, Christian Mahogany on a 6th-round contract for the next 3 seasons, which has already looked fantastic at that position, and Penei Sewell, your franchise cornerstone from Oregon and, the 2-time All-Pro offensive lineman. That is a good offensive line. You have Giovanni Manu waiting in the wings to potentially take over for Taylor Decker. That gives you 3 rookie contract offensive linemen that are really good at their position and will be paid lots and lots of money when that contract expires. That would maintain the Detroit Lions offensive dominance on the line and in the trenches. It would maintain the Detroit Lions fantastic offensive line for years to come, essentially give them 2 rookie contract guards for the next half decade. And overall, it would result in the Lions continuing to dominate on that side of the football. So, should the Lions draft a guard? Should they forego some of their defensive deficiencies in order to maintain the strength of their offensive line? It's an interesting question. There's a lot of points for it. There's a lot of points against it, but I do think it's an interesting conversation to have. So let me know down in the comments below. Do you want the Detroit Lions to draft a guard? Do you want the Detroit Lions to stick on the offense? Or do you want to solely address the defense in the draft? Go with defensive line, go with cornerback, go with linebackers, and kind of wait till the later rounds to address some of the backups in depth on offense. I'm curious to hear your guys' opinions. Do we make a strength better, or do we try to fix a weakness that we displayed a year ago? 2 different philosophies, both having their merit, but With that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Let me know down in the comments below your opinions. If you've yet to subscribe, please go down below and do that as well. Helps the channel out a ton. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions.